Trump related to payments to women made by his one-time lawyer that happened during the 2016 election. Some say the trial amounts to nothing more than election interference in an effort to keep the president occupied when he should be campaigning for his re-election bid. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer blocking a move to invite Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to address a joint session of Congress. On the Salem News program This Week on the Hill, House Speaker Mike Johnson, who initiated that invite, says Schumer's foot-dragging is unfortunate.
Right now, Israel is at war. Their very identity, their very existence is being threatened, and the idea that we would not roll out the red carpet and invite our close friend and ally to come and update the Congress on that, to me is unconscionable. I don't know what Chuck Schumer is doing with that. This should have been signed many days ago and sent. So we're trying to apply the pressure that's necessary to make sure that happens. I need his signature on the paper so that we can get that sent.
The full interview with Speaker Johnson will be heard on This Week on the Hill, premiering this week on many of these same stations. President Biden expecting Iran to attack Israel sooner rather than later.
Responding to questions about Iran's vow to punish Israel for a deadly strike in Syria, the president referred to intelligence reports indicating a forthcoming Iranian attack. He reiterated American support for the Jewish state and warned that Iran will not succeed.
We are devoted to the defense of Israel.
When asked what his message to Iran is, the president said, "Don't." Greg Clugston, Washington.
U.S. stocks fell sharply following a mixed start to the earnings report season. The S&P 500 sank 1.5% of its value on Friday. This is SRN News.
The following program is sponsored by the law offices of Patrick L. Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Get ready with your legal questions and call Patrick now. 877-943-9673. Again, that's 877-943-9673. The law office is open. And now your host, Patrick Smith.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. Today is Saturday, April 13th, and the law office is open. We will be with you the next hour to answer all of your legal questions. 877-943-9673. That is your live and local studio line to get access to the law office this morning for help with all of your legal inquiries. Give us a call now. Live and local lines, call screener standing by to get you on the air with me, Attorney Patrick Smith. We look forward to your calls. I'm going to pose a question to the audience. And Joanne from Sarasota, if you're listening, you inspired this segment, and I'll follow up a little bit more about how Joanne from Sarasota and her call last week inspired that this segment we're about to go into. So the question is this: do you know the difference between a lawyer and an attorney? So call in if you think you want to take a guess at what the difference is between lawyer and an attorney. A lot of people know they're different words, obviously, but don't understand kind of the distinction between the two, or is there a distinction? So if you want to call in with a guess while I talk a little more about Joanne's inspiration for this segment, 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673, your live and local studio line. To all of our brand new listeners, we always have new ones every week. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Welcome to the family, and we hope you enjoy your experience. So thank you. Joanne from Sarasota, I know you're listening, and I really appreciate you calling in with the question last week about Oregon and Oregon changing their requirements for bar admission to not requiring a bar exam for those graduating after May 2024. And we did research that in real time last week and did some follow-up. And it sort of led to some spin-off questions basically about, well, if you can pass or get bar admission without having to sit for the bar exam, it led me to wondering about, well, can you sit for the bar exam without having to go to law school? So are there states that would permit that? Turns out, in doing the show prep, there actually are. So in 2021, as of 2021, there were actually 4 states: California, Virginia, Vermont, and Washington were permitting those aspiring to sit for the bar exam to actually do so without completing law school. And apparently it's gone on to expand a little bit. There are some additional states now that have done so, and they actually have very particular requirements. According to California, the state bar rule 4.29 allows a person who has completed at least 2 years of college to finish the rest of their office at least 18 hours each week and at least 48 hours total to receive a credit for 1 year of study in law school. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense about why they structure it that way. In Vermont, an applicant can participate in a law office study program. So this is basically like a mentorship program in Virginia. The Virginia Board of Bar Examiners has allowed applicants to participate in a law reader program as an alternative to law school. And in the great state of New York, the study in a law office program during the study period, supervision by an attorney is required. After completion of 4 years of study, the person may take the New York State Bar. So this is all according to juristeducation.com. By the way, Maine is another state that also permits it. In Maine, an applicant must complete at least 2 years of study in law school. Well, that doesn't really sound like avoiding law school. So I think they did that analysis just altogether wrong. How are you going to take the bar exam without going to law school if one of the requirements is you have to go to law? That doesn't make any sense. I think they did that wrong. West Virginia. In West Virginia, getting appointed to the bar through apprenticeship is a possibility. And so you can do the apprentice. It seems like all these alternatives basically are you work in a law office and you're mentored, sort of the spirit of it or the public policy of it. But anyway, thank you, Joanne, for your question last week about Oregon allowing admission to the bar without sitting for the exam in the great state of Oregon, the new regulation, and then sort of our inverse of that, where now you're seeing some states allowing you to sit for the bar exam without having to go to law school. So there's the other side. And the question we posed at the top of the show was, do you think you know the difference between a lawyer versus an attorney? So if you have an opinion or answer to that question, 877-943-9673 or any other legal question, we're live and local, happy to help with any legal topic. No legal topic off limits. Call in now, 877-943-9673. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. Let's go to our first caller for the day. Let's go to Bob, who's in Florida, it says. Bob, where in Florida are you? Hey, Bob, you there? All right, you guys got Bob? All right, we'll come back to Bob in a minute. So if you want to email me your questions, you can email. We are available 24/7 via email. It is patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. You can email 24/7 and we will be happy to get you a response as quickly as we can. Guys, it says Bob's still there. Do we have him? We got him? All right, Bob. Hey, Bob, it sounds like you're there. Can you hear me? All right, 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. You can call in now, and we'll be happy to talk to you. The question we're posing to the listeners is, do you know the difference between a lawyer versus an attorney? So if you think you have an answer, I see calls coming in. We'll give them a chance to get queued up, and then we will see if we can get them on the air and have some live interaction this morning. It always goes better with live calls, so hopefully that's not a technical issue. 877-943-9673. All right, we got JR in Cape Coral. JR, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hey, good morning. It's Patrick, correct?
Correct, JR. How can I help you today?
Okay, so I know many attorneys. I've never asked that question. I always assumed there was no difference between an attorney and a lawyer.
So there actually is a technical difference between a lawyer versus an attorney. And we actually found a fantastic clip. Yumiko, do you have that clip queued up? The lady's name, by the way, that produced the clip, Yumiko, what was the name again?
Miss James.
Miss James produced this clip, and it's not 100% accurate, JR, but it kind of gives you a little bit of an understanding, and then I'll unpack what she's actually saying on the other side of the clip. So, Yumiko, go ahead, play the clip.
Lawyers and attorneys. Do you know any lawyers and attorneys? Yes. Your grandfather is he a lawyer or an attorney? You don't know. He's an attorney. He is an attorney. There is a difference. Okay, we're going to learn the difference between lawyers and attorneys. Which one has broad career choices, do you think? Attorney has broad career choices. Good. Okay, the next one is which one passed the bar? An attorney passed the bar. An attorney passed the bar, so that gives him broad career choices. When we say him, could be female. Which one did not pass the bar? Okay, passing the bar. Great question. It's a test that you take after you go through and get your Juris Doctorate. Juris Doctorate means the degree, like a master's degree, a bachelor's degree. The degree that you get to be a lawyer is called a Juris Doctorate. After you get your Juris Doctorate, then you take a big exam, and if you pass, it's called a bar. And if you pass, then you're an attorney. If you don't pass, but you still have a Juris Doctorate, you still are considered a lawyer. Okay. Which one has broad specialization?
All right, Yumiko, we can cut it off there because she sort of goes into the weeds a little bit. But JR, that's showing the distinction there where someone who graduates law school, upon completion of a law degree, you are now a lawyer. So the distinction classically, and I'll talk about why you're actually spot on and correct with your answer, but classically the difference was to become an attorney, you had to both pass the bar exam and obtain a license to practice law. So traditionally, that was the distinction. Now in Florida, you're right. There's really no distinction between the terms. We don't use that distinction anymore. But classically, that was the distinction. So someone who graduated from a law school was a lawyer. Someone who practiced law by passing the bar exam and obtaining a law license was an attorney. So that's the distinction.
Well, that answers the question right there. And I'm glad you brought it up because it never occurred to me until right this morning until you asked the question.
Well, and here's the other wrinkle. So in doing this, I sort of fell down the rabbit hole. I said, okay, we've covered what lawyer versus attorney is. Well, what if I threw the term esquire in, JR? Do you think you know what the term esquire means?
I do not.
Yeah, so esquire is generally someone who has passed the bar exam as well. And then, of course, the only last sort of moniker attorneys go by is attorney at law. And the sort of connotation by calling yourself an attorney at law typically means someone who actively represents clients in court proceedings when you're an attorney at law. And people love, JR, to get those confused with attorney in fact. In power of attorney documents, clients all the time will see this reference to attorney in fact, and they think that that's talking about me as their attorney at law. And I'm saying, no, the attorney in fact is someone you're designating to represent you in that power of attorney document. So a distinction there between attorney at fact and attorney at law. But yeah, great answer. You're correct and spot on, JR. So what station are you listening on down in Cape Coral?
That would be, I apologize. Oh my God.
You don't have to apologize. You're just doing some reconnaissance here.
That's embarrassing.
No.
My screen. I don't know.
Well, that's
My
an honest
screen-
answer, and that's okay, JR. It's okay that you don't know. Don't.
Well, you're coming in 5 by 5, and that's why we have attorneys and doctors because none of us can do this on our own.
Well, you're right, and it takes a lot of people working together to make this crazy thing called life happen, right, JR? So, whatever station you're listening on, JR, I appreciate it, and thank you for calling into the show. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All righty, guys. 877-943-9673. Bob, call back. I think whatever kink in the phone lines we had has been remedied, and as evidenced by JR's call. So call back, Bob. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Yeah, I find that interesting about all these terms that we just sort of use, and then we never stop to think about the definition and the origin story. So I thought we would just spend a few moments today talking about the craft of the practice of law by those terms. And speaking of that, we are going to continue our estate planning around the nation segment next week. And we've booked our next guest next week. And for those of you who are from this jurisdiction, you'll want to make sure you mark your calendars to tune in. But on the estate planning around the nation, up next, we will have the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So next Saturday, April 20th, joining us will be attorney Stephanie Kalogridis, and we will be doing our compare and contrast of the different estate planning laws between Florida and Pennsylvania, and talking about sort of the commonalities, the differences. So for those of you who snowbird between Pennsylvania and Florida, this will be of particular interest to you. And if you're considering changing residency, either Florida to Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania to Florida, it'll be your chance to sort of call in and in real time get an analysis for your estate and how it would affect you if you transition from one residency to another. So again, next Saturday, next in our estate planning around the nation segment, it will be the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania with our very special guest. And I've worked with her for years, and she's absolutely fantastic. Great personality, very knowledgeable about estate planning, and been delightful to work with over the years. Attorney Stephanie Kalogridis will be joining us. And again, that'll be next Saturday, April 20th, 877-943-9673 to be part of today's show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. And I can think of no better way to follow up that attorney versus lawyer segment other than giving out some thank yous. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. Before I even start giving out thank yous, a very special happy birthday I need to wish. For those of you in the Polk County area, many of you there in Polk, you either listen on 102.5 The Bone or 90.3 FM, which is Landmark's Voice of Faith, a fantastic gospel station there in the heart of Polk County out of Haines City, Florida, WLBF. And there at that church is a very special gentleman, a young man by the name of Dr. Earl Lee, is turning 84 years old today. So happy 84th birthday, Dr. Lee. I actually had a pleasure of chatting a little bit with Dr. Lee recently, and always enjoy those chats and times to fellowship. But happy birthday, Dr. Lee. We love you and Miss Barbara and all the hard work you do for the church. So just wanted to take a couple minutes to say we appreciate you and wish you the very happiest of birthdays. So happy birthday, Dr. Lee. And our thank yous go out to Kings Ridge and United Cerebral Palsy, West Orange campus. Two great presentations this past week. Thank you to everyone who came out. And if you're interested in booking us to come and speak to your club or group, you can reach out at the office line, 877-754-6764, 877-754-6764. That's our office line, open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And you can call to schedule your complimentary consultation in Sun City Center, Sarasota, Clearwater, Claremont, the Villages, any of our office locations, or to book me for a club or group. Or if you're just curious about speaking engagements that may be occurring in your area. I try to announce them all on the show, but I don't get to all of them sometimes in announcing them. So you're welcome to call the office and just check with the staff. They'll tell you when I'm speaking and where in your area if you want to mark one down to attend. Again, that office number, 877-754-6764. Give us a call now at the studio line, 877-943-9673. I'm Attorney Patrick Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. We're going to go to Scott in Sarasota. Scott, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. How are you today, Scott?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you very much for taking my call.
How can we help?
Quick question. How many lawyers don't pass the bar? And what do they do if they can't pass the bar?
Ooh.
What does a lawyer do?
Are you a lawyer?
No, sir.
All right. No, usually that question comes from lawyers. So let me check here real quick. So you want to know the Florida. All right. Florida bar passage rate. Let's see what we get. All right. I think Florida, last time I checked, it was definitely one of the tougher states. I think it's still like California and New York, I think, are definitely ranked amongst the top ones. Let's see. All right, so Florida's passage rate is 61% according to ncbex.org. And
Seems pretty low.
so, yeah, 61% ain't great. Apparently,
Yeah.
District of Columbia, 78%, Georgia, 70%, Hawaii, 63%. So, yeah. So your follow-up question to that was, what do they do if they don't pass the bar?
Big ditches.
Yeah, well, they could, and there's nothing wrong. We need good. Listen, we need good ditch diggers.
Hey,
I mean,
hey,
listen,
I'm in construction, buddy. I'm one of those guys. It's all
so
good.
yeah, I mean, you know it. I mean, we need those people, and it's a job that needs to get done. But no, what they can do is they can work at a law office, and they can actually, work in the legal field. A lot of times, they will go to clerk for judges. You'll see them sometimes go into academia. Because they do have a doctorate degree. They have a Juris Doctorate. So technically they could teach with that. And there's lots of ways that they could work in a supportive capacity in the legal field without holding themselves out as a practicing and licensed attorney.
I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much.
Scott, great question. Appreciate you calling in. Have a great day. 877-943-9673. That's your live and local number for the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith, and we'll be with you the rest of the hour answering all of your legal questions. So feel free to give us a call now. 877-943-9673. All right, let's go to our next caller. Let's go to Inglewood and talk to Jerry. Jerry, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. What's going on today, Jerry?
Hello. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
It's my understanding that our republic is starting to go under some constitutional changes in the near future. We're going to be going under a common law instead of a maritime law. And the law modification is called NESARA. NESARA is the acronym for it. And I was wondering if attorneys were getting geared up to go and train themselves in the new common law that will be coming into order.
Okay. So you said the acronym was NESRA. Is that correct?
NESARA.
All right. NESARA. I can feel a follow-up segment coming, Jerry, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I don't see anything. So, all right. So this is a movement at the federal level, or this is at the state level?
It's going to be starting in the federal level, but it's going to be, the states are going to find themselves having more autonomy than they do right now. And it's my understanding that even Texas is even trying to separate themselves from the union presently. But I don't know if that'll succeed or not, but they'll definitely join us, the rest of the country, and the NESARA reform that's supposed to be coming down. It's my understanding that this NESARA law is supposed to be starting to be enacted tomorrow or the day after.
So you said join us. So are you part of this movement?
Oh, well, I guess you could say I am. Yes, I'm definitely a patriot.
Well, I didn't need to say you are because you said join us. So I just figured that meant I'm not accusing you of it, Jerry.
Oh,
Don't
no.
let me put words in your mouth.
But joining us, I mean join the rest of the country in being a United States. And because there are movements, and as I understand, in Oregon and Colorado, and so they want to succeed from the Union.
Okay. So that's a bad idea. I don't think that's good for the country.
I don't think it is either.
Yeah. So, all right, tell me, what is the main problem that this movement is trying to address? So this movement goes through and you guys say, here's the problem that is now better. In 30 seconds or less, tell all the listeners what that problem is and how you guys are fixing it.
Okay, right now our economy is in shambles, regardless of what mainstream media might be reporting. We're getting to do a currency reset where all nations currency is going to come together at a exchange rate of 1-to-1, and that could happen very soon. And along with that will become changes in the attitude of our Constitution, and some of the revisions that have been made to the Constitution over the years will be nullified, and we'll have a new government.
Okay, well, so hold on. What changes to the Constitution are going to be nullified? Because I'm sort of a big fan of a lot of the changes to the Constitution. Could you be more specific about which ones you want to nullify?
No, I can't be specific because I haven't studied enough on it, to tell you the truth. I think it's going to be Amendment 4 and Amendment 14.
The amendment that deals with due process and the amendment that deals with unauthorized searches and seizures, Amendment 4, those are the two that you want to back off? Because if that's the case, Jerry, I think I'm out.
Actually, what I'm more interested in is getting back to the original spirit of the founding fathers in our Constitution.
Yeah, I don't want to go back there, Jerry.
Do you also? Yeah.
No,
well,
I don't think I do. I think we're a little more inclusive now than we were back then. So, and I'm not trying to be, political this morning. This is a legal talk show, so I try to veer away from the politics. But,
Well, I was just wondering if attorneys such as yourself were knowledgeable about these potential changes coming to our nation's law, because I've heard that our attorneys will have to have some retraining in order to work in our courts in the future.
Well, and listen, at the end of the day, I hadn't forgotten your question. No, I can't speak on behalf of all of my other brother and sister attorneys out there. But this attorney hadn't heard anything about it. And Jerry, I appreciate you taking the time to call in and educate me on it. Have you ever heard of a sovereign citizen, Jerry?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay. Can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Are you one?
Go ahead.
Are you a sovereign citizen?
I tend to think that I am. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I could sort of get this sense. Did you hear the show I did on sovereign citizens?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry I missed that.
All right, let's role play a little bit, because I think we can kind of demonstrate it. So I'll play the role of law enforcement, okay? And you're going to be the guy that's allegedly speeding, and I pull you over, okay?
That's right.
Can we do that? Okay, so I pull you over and I say, "Good afternoon, Jerry. May I see your driver's license, please?" What do you say back?
Well, I'd be nice and show it to you and everything, but if you were to give me a citation, I would say that I could possibly say I'm a sovereign citizen, that I'm responsible for my own actions, and I don't answer to his jurisdiction.
Right, because whose jurisdiction do you answer to?
God and myself.
Well, and so the general concept, and Jerry, you're a fantastic caller, and you're demonstrating the point beautifully, and that's this sort of the concept, and the show we did on sovereign citizens, sort of the highest ranking government official that sovereign citizens traditionally, and I'm sure there's a spectrum of sovereign citizens, I'm not trying to say all of them think exactly the same way, but the general theme was their highest government official they will recognize is a county sheriff. And they really don't go much beyond that. And then what I kind of thought you were going to say was I wasn't driving, I was traveling, because that's the classic.
Well, I've heard that too.
Yeah.
No, I haven't put this to the test yet. I haven't had to.
Well, and here, let me ask you this question, because so when we did the show on Dodd, are you familiar with the Dodd Supreme Court decision?
No, I'm not.
You probably are. If I tell you it's the Supreme Court decision that overturned Roe versus Wade, are you familiar with it now?
Okay. Yes, I am.
Okay. It's just called the Dodd case. So I'll ask you a question that I was asked when I was doing that. My gorgeous wife, Christy, is my voice of reason a lot of times and keeps me grounded and is my rock and constant support. And when I was doing the show on Dodd and doing all my show prep, I was talking about the Constitution, and exactly what you said came up. What did the founding fathers intend with regard to a right to privacy, especially with regard to a woman's right to choose, and all the tough questions that a case like Dodd presents? Here's the question she asked me, Jerry. And when you say I want to go back to those days, think about this question. How many women helped draft the Constitution to the United States?
I couldn't answer that.
Well, the short answer is zero.
I heard Dolly Madison had something to do with it.
Well, and when you go and read the Declaration of Independence and you see the signatures at the bottom, how many women joined?
there isn't any.
Right. And that's my point. I'm not critiquing the Declaration of Independence. That is a great document. And the Constitution, it is an amazing document that has breathed into life the wonderful freedom that we all know and love today. But I think these amendments, Jerry, have made it better. And to go back to a time when we were less inclusive, I don't know, Jerry, that just feels really, really dangerous. And I don't like that.
Well, I think there's a lot of not enough value in our society for the meaning of life, just life in general. Life and preserving life should be our primary duties in our society, I think.
So, Jerry, we should eliminate the death penalty if preserving life is our number one priority. Is that what you're saying?
I think that's a possibility.
Okay. Well, I can respect that. I mean, at least you're consistent there throughout. A lot of people want to preserve life on one end, but not the other. So I kind of admire that in you, Jerry, your consistency. No is the ultimate answer to your question. I haven't done any additional training for these waves of change that sound like are waves of change I probably would stand against based on this interaction, Jerry. And I'm not trying to be your enemy. I'm just telling you where I stand. And yeah, I'm not familiar with it. And I will do some additional research. If you have any research or any information you want to send to me, Jerry, I'm 90% sure I'm going to do a follow-up about this. So
Okay. Well,
you can email me. It's patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. I'm really easy to find. And you can send me all the research or information you want. I and the interns will tear through it and research it up one side and down the other and prepare something in the way of a follow-up segment. And when I do it, Jerry, I'd love for you to call back and then comment when or if I do that follow-up segment.
okay. It'd be my pleasure.
All righty, Jerry, great caller. And this is what I
Thank
love
you
about
very
our
much.
country, Jerry. This is what I love about our country. Here we are ending a call where we have agreed to disagree. And look, we're still friends, Jerry. We're still friends.
We're still
See,
friends.
we don't have to hate each other just because we disagree.
And I'll send you the information.
Jerry, you're a class act.
Have a good day.
You
sir.
too, Jerry. 877-943-9673. See, that's what we call reasonable discourse. You can disagree with people without having to be angry and nasty and volley personal attacks. Jerry, great caller. One of my top 5 favorite callers of all time, Jerry. So you've achieved some rare air today, and I appreciate calling in. 877-943-9673. That's your live and local number to be part of today's show. Give us a call now, and we will be happy to talk to you and get you live on the air. All righty, next, no, I just saw a call pop in I want to take. Let's go to Sarasota. Let's talk to Finn. Finn, what's going on in Sarasota?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Great. This is an old, it's kind of statute of limitations. I don't know if it applies or not, but my mother had passed away back in 2016, January.
I'm sorry.
And so she was living in an assisted facility in which I was pretty much visiting her pretty much almost every other day or so, give or take. And prior to that, I'd kind of oversaw and triaged her care and appointments for like 3 years running while working part-time. And in the latter months, weeks, and our year to months, that I kind of was not a part of her day-to-day finances and stuff, although I was there to agree her facility rates. She was under full coverage with John Hancock, which I recommend to anybody to get one, especially when they're at the no later than 59 would be a good start. But anyway, she had that. She also had the extra rider that said that this is very important to speak of. She had the extra rider that covered her premium, meaning she had no more premiums after that once she was under claim. And she had accelerated. So when she was out of the hospital, she only had to pay for like 40 days of service before the insurance kicked in. Very good policy. Now, with that said, fast forward 2 years or so, give or take, from assisted living down here in Sarasota and 2 different facilities. One sued her while she was dead already, which was weird, and which I never received any mail for. And the other was that was the facility that had their administrator take her to the bank and change over all her banking from where it was to somewhere else. And now I'm at a loss as to what actually took place, because somebody who, not to brag, but somebody who had a probably what do they call it, a 6-figure net worth or so, passed away with very little. I won't speak of the amount, but it was really surprising because she was an accountant and she kept track of everything. And our trust was done and is still held with SunTrust. But I called John Hancock and I'm not on the paperwork anymore. And yet I was on the paperwork for almost 6 years. And they say I have no power of attorney on file with them anymore. So it's where do I start?
What is Finn short for?
Finn?
So then your name is Finn, Finn?
Yes, I'm Korean American.
That is super cool and awesome name.
And
So
I'm 60, so I'm probably one of the early Finns before the
as opposed to one of
Finn.
those later Finns.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it's a great, cool name. I just wanted to get a little more on the etymology behind it. Thank you for humoring me. The answer to your question, it's almost like a fact pattern for a law school final exam question. There are so many issues, and I have so many questions. I have a Sarasota office, Finn. I'll give you a complimentary consultation. We can go over that in the privacy of the office. Here's the short answer, though. Okay, it's going to go back to.
I just need a roadmap or something.
Yeah. You need a lot of roadmap because there's a long road to go. So we have to go back to the date of death. What did the estate planning documents say then? Who was the administrator? What were the assets then? And I think the administrator, if there was this suspicious activity,
I was.
You were the administrator. So there was the duty, I think, at that time to look back and sort of look into these suspected financial abnormalities and then sort of hold people accountable and report that to the estate.
And I tried that the all her mail, I had nowhere to start. The only bank account I knew of is the one with BB&T that was opened up mid-year, and that was it, like about 6 months before she passed.
Well, not to mention you had just lost your mom.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people, they pick a child as the administrator, and I try to caution clients. I'm like, think of the kids when you make your choice or whomever you're going to pick. But remember, you're not picking the child as you know them now. You're picking a child who's grieving your loss. So put them in that fact pattern when you make that selection. Pick the child who you think is going to bear the responsibility of administering under those circumstances. But I think that's the path to success. We go back to the origin story and we just start asking questions, getting answers, and sort of see where that takes us, Finn. And I'll give out the office line here in a minute, and you can write it down and give us a call, and we'll get you into the office. Just bring me any and all paperwork you have on it, and we'll start from there. Did you have an attorney representing you at the time?
No, I did pro se because it was so little. I'm like, the only thing, for matter of fact, I went through some stuff when I was looking this past year, and I found a check that I never even cashed.
All right, I was just making sure.
I didn't even know it was in my belongings.
Well, now you sound like Ty from Caddyshack. But I was just, I just want to make sure I wasn't stepping on any toes. If you had a previous relationship with an attorney, I was just going to send you back there first, just out of respect to that attorney. But all right, give me a call at the office, and I'll give out that number here shortly. So have a pen and paper handy, okay?
Can I add a footnote? Can I add a little footnote to your sovereign thing that you were speaking of?
Of course.
That was really keying me in. Is that I wasn't aware of a lot of that stuff, but a lot of people join into this follow mentality that they don't actually read; they just hear what they hear.
It's, mob mentality, and that's one of my goals on the show is just making sure we educate people with primary data. And you saw it there, and not to pick on Jerry at all, but
I think it's great that I'm trying to say that I learned from that.
Yeah, exactly. But my point is, with that interaction with Jerry, when I said, "Are you familiar with the Dodd case?" No, I'm not. Are you familiar with the case that overturned Roe versus Wade? Sure. And a lot of people just don't know the basics about a thing. And so I think that's kind of what I look at as one of my goals is to help educate people with sort of those basic and fundamental elements to discuss whatever topics that we're going to discuss. So, knowing the name of the case is a good idea.
Right. What's always interesting too, last thing was, and you can touch on that, is that when they pin it to another amendment, like piggyback it.
Yeah.
When they're passing it through, it's kind of interesting. So, I mean, that's that. I'm hoping things change for that because there's a lot of people who are going to be affected. And I'm not just saying, I'm not even talking about the choice, pro-choice. I'm just talking about people who have illnesses or, birth issues and stuff like that. Or, nobody wants to decide that on the table.
Let me ask you one question before I let you go, Finn. So when my wife asked me that question about, how many women helped write the Constitution, I have to admit, very ashamedly, I never thought about that. But, here I am,
Right.
a white man, and I never thought about that largely probably because it was all white men writing those laws. Did you ever think about that there were no women participating in the drafting of the Constitution?
Yeah, it was years ago. I thought about it a lot when I was at Rollins. I had a political science class in which it kind of delved into some things, and I kind of went on this little tangent down the road of the Constitution. And one thing I noticed was that, but the other was that how long it took to get to the point where we had the suffrage movement and all that. But nowadays we have so much at our research hand, whatever we can see or hear or do or type in, we can make something happen. So to delay or to go backwards is even worse.
Yeah, that's what made me nervous about what Jerry was saying. And I'm very excited because we're going to New York City here in a couple weeks. And my wife informed me that we have tickets to see Suffs, which is the new musical about women's suffrage. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. But Finn, another fantastic caller, and I appreciate you calling in. And I didn't know.
Oh, and the one thing on the thing where you said, well, people aren't, was it respectful, or what was that thing about?
Oh, just elevating the discourse and having a respectful dialogue?
Well, that starts at home with mom and dad.
Oh, yeah.
Grandma and grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
I know I meet somebody at my age at 60, and I can tell whether they were raised by their mother and father or whether they were raised by their grandparents. I can tell instantly.
Can I tell you something that my father taught me very, very early on? I mean, I can remember being in elementary school and my father teaching me this lesson. And he said, anytime you get involved in a debate, he said, never lose your temper. He goes, the second you've lost your temper, you're letting the other person win. So
my favorite quote for that is, if you're in a debate, which I did have that class also then, and was that an insult is not a proper rebuttal at all.
Well, the book of Proverbs tells us that he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh the city. So being able to control your emotions and be respectful is a very powerful weapon in dialogue and debate.
Great.
All right.
Thank
Finn.
you for the info.
Hey, by the way, you said you graduated from Rollins?
I went to Rollins for undergrad, and then I did a graduate program there, but I graduated from the University of Texas.
I went to Stetson for undergrad and then Chapel Hill for my law degree. I didn't realize we were rivals, Finn.
Yeah.
I would have still been nice to you, though, if I'd have realized that stuff.
What's Chapel Hill? What's their motto? What's their mascot?
I don't know. What's the motto with you?
I'm
just kidding. I don't know the
Rollins
motto.
Was the Tars.
Oh, Stetson is Pro Deo et Veritate, which is for God and truth.
Okay. Yeah, live. Yeah. So I was wondering what was it? North Carolina? You said you went?
Yeah, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. That's my
law
law
I was
degree.
just wondering what their mascot was.
Oh, it's the it's the Tar Heel.
Yeah, so we're kind of the same.
How about that? Well, we're the same but different, and that's what makes life wonderful and great. Finn, appreciate you calling in.
Exactly. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
877-943-9673. I love our callers. We have the best callers on this show. I mean, the Attorney Patrick Smith Show Nation, you guys warm my heart, and I needed it today. I really needed it. So I appreciate you guys. Yesterday was a rough day for our family. We had to put our family pet Nico, our 11-year-old Boston Terrier, down. So that was a tough day, and you guys have lifted my spirit. So I appreciate you calling in and being such fantastic callers. So, all right, let's go to St. Petersburg and talk to Mary. Mary, how can we help you today?
Good morning.
Good morning,
yes,
Mary.
My dog is just diagnosed with oral cancer, melanoma. She's 10, and I know exactly what you mean.
I will pray for you, and I'm sorry that you're going through that. I wouldn't wish this on anybody.
Well, I'm alone, so she's my last best friend.
Oh
really.
my gosh!
But I did want to.
Where are you, Mary? You're in St. Pete?
Yes, sir.
You're not alone. We're all there with you. Me and the rest of the listeners. We're all going to hold you. And what's your pup's name?
Lily.
Billy?
Lily.
Lily.
L-I-L-Y.
Lily. All right. We'll all be praying for you and Lily. And will you please keep us posted on how Lily's doing? That way, we're all in this thing together, Mary.
Yes, sir.
All right. What's your question?
The reason I called is the Nacera is the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. It is in the congressional archive somewhere. In 1963, JFK had introduced that. It was not initiated back then. It really has to do a lot with the economy, but it has a lot of other things in it. And I think Bill Clinton was going to, it goes back to go back currency is what it does. So you're resetting the economy, which means you have to crash the dollar first, which looks like that's being done. Really, if you read, depending on where you're reading on that computer, and I don't trust hardly anything on a computer unless I can substantiate it in a record. Or you could be reading a PSYOP versus a PSYOP. Who knows what's real and what's not anymore? But he is correct, and resetting the economy seems to be the answer. And it's NESARA is for national, GESARA is for global.
Okay.
So it's globally, worldwide. Actually goes into talking about common law. Actually goes into talking about I forgot what I was going to say. The Internal Revenue Service. There's some people who say actually the taxes are illegal. So that's what it says. And I just wanted to let you know that it is in the congressional records. That's kind of like why I'm kind of looking at it pretty hard.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you calling in. And listen, I got to let you go because I got to get to a couple other callers. But Mary, you mentioned you don't trust anything on the computer. Where do you stand on trusting live radio shows?
Depends on who I'm listening to, really.
Okay.
But they could be reading the same thing I am. I just know that when you change the definition of words, like they did for COVID,
yeah.
And I'm a nurse, so it's like, no. I grew up in the Air Force, got immunizations a lot, and the COVID thing is an mRNA genetic decoder, hands down.
Hey, Mary, go love on Lily for all of us, okay?
She's a doll. Thank
all right.
you so much.
God bless you, Mary. All righty, 877-943-9673. Quickly, Jim in Auburndale. Jim, what's your question?
Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning, Jim.
My wife and I each of us received a letter from the U.S. Department of Justice yesterday, and it says several files were hacked, by hackers, this one particular company, and they told us in a letter.
Hey, Jim, I'm gonna cut you off because I know what you're talking about. Some of these are legitimate, some are scams. I need to put eyes on the document free of charge. I'll give out the office line here at the end of the show. Write it down. Call me. I'll tell you how to get me that document. I'll take a look at it free of charge, tell you if it's legitimate or not, or what you and your wife need to do, okay?
And that is exactly why I called you, because there's so much garbage going on out there now.
Yeah, well, Jim, we'll keep you safe. Don't worry. Take care of my home county of Polk, and call the show anytime. Get in touch with me next week. We'll get you squared away on that. That shouldn't be too difficult at all.
All right.
All right, Jim. Have a great day. All righty, Mary and Ruskin, I've got 30 seconds. Can you make it quick?
Okay, I'm the power of attorney for my ex-husband, and I'm concerned about the legality of it.
So I would have it reviewed by an attorney. When was the power of attorney done?
Oh, it was already done last July.
Okay. Was it done by an attorney?
Yes.
Okay, go back to that attorney, have them review it, and if you want a second opinion on it, give me a call.
No. The question is if he is in a memory institute right now. So I have full power of attorney over all of his finances, everything. My concern is if he dies, what happens to this checking account that is got my name on it? It always had my name, even though we're divorced. He never took my name off it.
If your name is on there as a co-owner, potentially you might wind up owning that entire account. I don't know. I would need to see his estate planning documents beyond the power of attorney. I would need to see the bank account statement to know how it's titled exactly. But just give me a call at the office and we'll get you squared away. Okay, Mary?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Mary. 877-943-9673. That is our live and local number to be part of our show. And if you have any other calls, guys, just to put them on hold. I'll talk to them off the air. I've got an extra minute this morning. 877-943-9673. To reach me at the office, I did promise that office line, 877-754-6764. 877-754-6764. That is our live and local number. And again, just want to say a very special word about our pup Nico, who unfortunately passed away. He was the best boy, and we'll love him forever. And rest in peace, Nico. And see you again one day, buddy. So to be part of the show next week, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. The law office, 877-754-6764. God bless. Stay safe. Go Gators.